So till now, we have seen the vibration of 2 degree of freedom system, but that was a free vibration where there was no external force applied when the vibrations analysis was going on. So the force may be or the system may be excited or given some disturbance at some point of time. And after that point of time, we were going to check how the vibrations are going to happen. But from now, we'll check force vibration analysis. That means that when the force is being applied or a continuous force is applied, we'll check how that force is going to change the vibration response of the system. So now where we are having a continuous force which is applied, and during that application of force time, we are going to check how the system is changing. So this is the general equation that is for 2 degrees of freedom system, which is exhibiting force vibration. So mostly we have seen this part: mass matrix, acceleration, damping, the velocity vector, the stiffness, the displacement vector. The only change comes to the right hand side. So earlier we were having a 0 0 term over here, so it was a zero matrix, but now we have non-zero values that are the force which is applied. And let's say the force is also in terms of some magnitude and e raised to I omega t. So this is just a representation or an assumption of how the force is looking, what is the nature of force. Now, for steady state part, that is response to xj, the xj is this, that is defined over here, that is the amplitude xj e raised to I omega t. This is because we are assuming that wherever the force is or whatever the nature of the force is, we'll have a very much similar response in displacement or the vibration. So if the force is sinusoidal, we'll mostly have that sinusoidal response on my system also. If the force is constantly stretching my string, it is going to have that type of response on my system. So we have just assumed similar kind of response. And now since we have assumed that this is a steady state part of my response of x, and this need to satisfy the equation of motion, so we will substitute it. So then we need to find the amplitude of vibration when external force is applied. So our aim is to find the x1 and x2. That was our same aim in earlier case also, but we were getting the relation between x1 and x2 in the normal mode states, and given any initial conditions, we can explicitly find the values of x1 and x2. So let's start first by simplifying the case. So we are ignoring the damping. So we'll only have mass and stiffness matrix right now. So we have just combined all the mass, stiffness, and damping, and we have substituted x from here, x dot by differentiating this equation by in here, and x double dot by twice differentiating this equation and substituting it here. So that's all we have. So when we are going to double substitute differentiate it 2 times, the I square is going to come iota square. That iota square is value is -1, and that -1 is incorporated in front of mass matrix. So that the mass matrix is going to face that -1, and omega square is also coming. So minus omega square is over here. We are ignoring the damping matrix, so that's not incorporated in this equation. And e raised to I omega t, earlier it was cos omega t or sin omega t. The trigonometric terms which were coming in common for right hand side and left hand side were getting cancelled, or they were taken a factor outside. Now we have I e raised to I omega t term getting cancelled or taking a factor out. So now the matrix will be symmetric. That is M21 is equal to M12. M11 and M22 will be different, and M21 and M1 should be same. And similarly, K21 and K12 will be equal. So we'll look at these relations or properties of mass matrix, stiffness matrix, and damping matrix in coming part of multi-degree of freedom system. So you have a better understanding of how the nature of the matrix are. So as of now, you can remember the mass matrix and the stiffness matrix are going to be symmetric matrix. So we need to find x1 and x2. So we can directly invert this matrix because this is non-zero. We'll invert this matrix. This matrix inverted goes to on the other side. do the matrix multiplication and get the values of x1 and x2 directly. So that's all. This procedure is much simpler because over here we have non-zero values in RHS, so we can directly do that. So the force matrix is called impedance matrix or the resistance matrix, and the coefficient matrix is Z matrix. That is, this is the coefficient matrix which has the system parameters. So Zx is equal to F is the representation, and now X will be F into Z inverse. So you can do this matrix in inverse in Excel, in your calculators, in your MATLAB programming also. There are one-liner programs where you can just directly invert the matrix. So in general, the coefficients, the terms or elements in coefficient matrix are represented like this, where R and S are changing for 2 degrees of freedom system. They are changing from for 1 and 2. For multi-degree of freedom system, let's say we have n degrees of freedom, the R and S will change from 1 to 3 to n. So this is the general representation. Z Rs is equal to minus omega square MRS plus KRS, and KRS is equal to KSR, MRS is equal to MSR. That is because of the symmetricity. And that omega which is coming here is the forcing frequency. So now this is very good or important conclusion, that my force is a periodic force because it is having some frequency which is noted. So it is a periodic force which is of frequency omega. So that same frequency is in the response. That means when we go to steady state part, transient part for a small time can be different. But when we come to the main part, which is the steady state part, my frequency of oscillation of the system will be same as the frequency of the function. The function is having omega frequency, forcing function. That is the same frequency of my oscillations also. So in the next video, we'll look at some numerical example to have a better look and better understanding of process of solving these equations.